Hi, my name's Sheehan and today I'd like to talk about Five Easy Pieces, the 1970 Bob Raffleson directed film starring Jack Nicholson, and I'd like to just go through how the plot works, how this film is structured, and some of the themes that crop up in this classic film. Now, Jack Nicholson plays Bobby. Bobby's this guy who works in an oil rig, and Bobby's got this other life. And I guess if you could sum up this film, it's about a person's failure to come to terms with themselves, I guess. There's a lack of peace inherent within Bobby, the main character of this film. Now, the film's in 3 acts of a coda. And the first act is all about Bobby in his life as an oil rig worker. He's on this plant with his friend, doing this hard manual labour. And Bobby's also got this girlfriend who is very much kind of a beautiful girl, but she's all she really cares about is being with Bobby. And all her self-esteem and self-respect is tied up in her relationship with him. But Bobby treats her really badly. Bobby is sleeping around. He's dismissive of her. He kind of bullies her emotionally. He's not very pleasant to her at all. But Bobby, in his own way, is rather charming, and Jack Nicholson plays him brilliantly, of course. And there's that famous scene where he's in a traffic jam with his friend, and he climbs on the back of a lorry where there's this old out of tune upright piano, and he starts playing. And he's while he's playing, he's taken off the highway away from home. And it turns out that Bobby is actually a really excellent and talented musician. He's a pianist. And the film is really about Bobby failing to come to terms with his coming to terms with his background, really. He seems to be running away from his musical youth. Bobby finds out that Rayette, his girlfriend, who's played brilliantly by Karen Black, finds out she's pregnant. But somewhat callously, Bobby decides he's going to leave her because Bobby finds out that his father is very ill from his sister, who's a concert pianist, and he decides to go and see his father. Eventually, he decides to take Rayette with him, and that's the first act, really. That sets the scene. This guy, oil rig worker, who has got some kind of interesting backstory to him. The second act of the film is a road trip, essentially. Bobby and Rayette are on their way up to Washington State, to Bobby's family home, and they pick up a couple of women who, on the way, they kind of give them a ride, possibly a lesbian couple. And it's on this road trip that there's that incredibly famous scene where they're in a diner and Bobby orders what he wants, but the waitress just can't give it to him, a sandwich without mayo and all the rest of it, because it's not on the menu. And he kind of sweeps everything off the table. Very famous scene. And eventually they get to Bobby leaves Rayette in a motel. He's obviously embarrassed to show her to the rest of his family, and he gets finally to his family home, and it's a completely different environment to what we know of Bobby so far, with perhaps the exception of his visit to his sister in a recording studio. This is a very middle class family home, full of classical music, full of family photos, lovely grounds to this large and rambling house. But there's a lot of tension in this family. Bobby's brother's there. There's clearly some rivalry with him. He's the violinist. And then you see Bobby's dad, who is completely mute from a stroke and paralysed. And Bobby's sister is there, Partita, and she's this lovable eccentric, I guess you'd call her. And Bobby, he's so emotional, he can't he finds it like a pressure cooker there. That's what drove him out in the first place, it seems. And there's this touching scene with his father where he just can't, the only time he's really spoken to his father in a meaningful way, and his father is mute because he's suffered from a stroke, so there's a tragedy in that. But you know, Bobby's not a likeable character really. I mean, he starts seducing his brother's partner, and they get it together. But then she realises that he can't really love anybody because he doesn't love himself. And Bobby is rather attached to this young lady, but she's not ultimately interested in him. And then Rayette turns up unannounced. And there's this clash between her and this middle class Eden. Although she seems to get on quite well with Bobby's violinist brother. Ultimately, they leave the home, Rayette and Bobby, and that goes to the coda where they're in a petrol station on the way home. And somewhat cowardly and really selfishly and nastily actually, he gives his wallet to Rayette as she gets a coffee. He goes in the gents, you know, goes to the toilet, and then he kind of freaks out with the position he's in, and he flees with this lorry driver. He hitches a ride with nothing to his name except the clothes on his back, and off he goes. And sadly, you see Rayette just left in the petrol station, wondering where her Bobby is. So it's a very powerful drama, this film. Jack Nicholson is just extraordinary in it, and Karen Black's fantastic as well. And I guess it's about a failure to accept responsibility, a failure to come to terms with the past, a failure to forgive oneself and to move on in one's life. It's a rather bleak film in that respect. Bobby, the main character, although he's got his qualities, he can be charming when he wants to be, he can be funny, obviously very talented, a charismatic individual, but really he's just a selfish, rather nasty piece of work who is quite capable of leaving his pregnant partner because he kind of freaks out with the responsibility that entails. And I guess it speaks a lot about humanity, about how there's always a temptation to flee from situations which might give our lives meaning, but nevertheless can restrict our freedom. And it seems that Bobby just can't get over that. In a sense, he hasn't quite grown up. Yeah, so 5 Easy Pieces, a great film, great performances, and if you haven't seen it, check it out. And I've just included a brief slideshow with the structure of the film and some of the themes. Thanks for watching. Bye.